I debate like any topic, really. I didn't really. I was expecting a debate on veganism, honestly,
Okay,
but
yeah, veganism, sure. I disagree with veganism strongly. I think
okay.
vegans are inconsistent because one, they associate it with non-vegans, and if they believe that non-vegans are really responsible for animals being skinned alive, and that's really wrong, then shame on them for being friendly with us. I certainly wouldn't associate with anybody I thought was a pedophile enabler. So, I think that's inconsistency in vegan theories. I also think that given that they are moral anti-realist, many of them, I'm not saying all of them, it just comes out as hypocritical for them to moralize for us. And I also think that when discussing veganism, they ignore traditional ethics. They impose their own ethics on us, some kind of weird utilitarianism that we obviously reject. And that's my short problems with veganism.
Okay. You might want to go through a few of those. I might want to write them down. But
Yeah, so the
the
first one is
first
that you
thing.
guys are hypocritical for
Okay,
associating with
sure.
non-vegans.
Okay. Association,
Yep.
hypocritical. What was the next one?
Oh, the next one is well, the third one was utilitarianism. The second one was, oh yeah, you guys just wait, what was the second one? I'm kind of having a blank moment right now.
It's cool.
Yeah, you
Take your
guys
time.
ignore natural ends, so you guys impose your own.
Natural
Okay,
what?
sorry. Second one was that many of you are moral anti-realists, and I think that
Okay.
being a moral anti-realist and moralizing is some kind of problematic there. And third is you guys impose your own view of morality on us, kind of a utilitarian philosophy that we would obviously reject.
Okay. So for one thing,
Yeah.
so what is hypocritical exact? Like, what is it about vegan ethics that is hypocritical?
Well, the first part is
Where
that you
for
guys associate
association?
with it. Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
associate.
but how is that hypocritical?
Well, I'm saying it's problematic because it's problematic. Well, the hypocritical part is the second one, but it's the first one is problematic
Okay,
because
so association isn't hypocritical. You're just saying it's problematic.
yeah, it's very problematic. I
Okay.
guess for some it's hypocritical. At least the vegan I interacted with. Yeah, it's very
Um,
problematic.
okay, I guess it depends on who you're interacting with, but I'm just going to put that as problematic. So,
Yeah.
moral anti-realism. I'm not well read on that. Could you explain what that is?
Oh yeah, sure. Just holding that moral propositions are not objective facts; that they are based on, you know, our
And do you believe
desires.
that's hypocritical?
Well, I think it's hypocritical that you guys moralize while also admitting that morals are desire dependent.
How is that hypocritical?
Well, because my desire could be to chomp down a pork sandwich, and on your epistemology, it's not, by the way, but if it was, on your epistemology or your ethics, you would have to be fine with that because you believe that,
No.
yeah, if your morality is desire dependent, that's the problem there.
Right. So
Wait,
I
so are
guess
you a
by
moral
your
anti-realist are you a moral anti-realist?
well, if by moral anti-realist you mean that I don't believe that there's any objective fact behind morality, then yeah.
Okay, do you believe that moral facts are true objectively?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know how mathematical statements are true, like 1 + 1 = 2. Do you think it's true that you ought not kill animals if you can avoid it?
Okay, well, it's a weird way of like
No, that's
stating
standard
things.
moral. No, it's not
Yeah,
good.
so okay, so I think you can determine based on somebody's preferences to not kill. Objectively speaking,
So obviously,
y-
non-vegans don't share that because non-vegans don't have the same desires. So who cares, right? It's a trivial argument. You guys don't have that desire. We have that
no.
desire. Why is your desire better than ours?
Okay, well, the issue is so the way that I normally formulate arguments against non-vegans is to test logical consistency with somebody's own moral framework.
Sure, go ahead.
So, if you, say, believe in fundamental human rights, I
Yeah, I do.
believe that animal rights are a logical extension of human rights. So, it
No, I
wouldn't
don't.
really
I wouldn't
matter if
agree with that. No.
somebody.
I do believe animals have rights, but animal rights are not identical. Should not be identical to human rights.
I'm not saying they're identical, I'm saying they're a logical extension.
Okay,
Um,
well, maybe.
okay, so, and yeah, as far as
the third one.
Imposing our own view.
Yeah, so
I guess
you
that
guys are imposing utilitarianism on us. It's a view that...
Yeah, so I'm not a utilitarian.
You're not? Okay,
you
that's
might, so you might find some vegans who are utilitarian, or use utilitarian-based arguments,
Yeah.
but
Usually those are the ones I encounter.
yeah, I would say that I'm a threshold deontologist, where, for the most part, I would look at rights and protecting rights, but, like, let's say having a right would cause just a massive amount of harm. Then I'd kind of ignore rights in favor of, utilitarian. Yeah, just because, just having the right isn't justified at that point. So that wouldn't be an issue for me, so maybe you could scratch that one off your list for me.
Okay, sure, I have no problem. But that's also really important because I'm an Aristotelian, right? And I do believe in, and that's fine. I'm not gonna do that shtick that Ask Yourself does, where he just makes stuff up and I'm gonna keep it simple. I'll just say, as an Aristotelian, I believe morality is that which ends prescribe, right? That which is revealed in the law, naturally. And I think that we can make a good inference that our natural law, our observance of the law, does give us at least permission to eat some meat. And it's not necessarily bad. First, we are omnivorous, and that's just a fact. And we depend on animal products all the time, and that is in continuation with our end. Secondly, many of the animals that are out there in the fields die violent deaths, and are more likely to die violent deaths than us giving them a humane killing. Okay, Mike. Something great. So I don't think that it's necessarily wrong, because leaving cows out in the wild for them to be devoured alive by wolves, it's more humane for us to, humanely kill them and take their advantage of the food. And it's just seen all over the nature that the natural end of carnivorous or omnivorous in our cases animals, and we are animals in a certain sense, is to devour other animals. Now, am I saying that I think that that is the most natural thing in the world? No. There are certain animals that I would advocate against killing. I would say apes are no-no because of what they demonstrate. I would say dogs are no-no because of this and that. But I would say that the idea that you can't eat meat is not grounded in any kind of natural law ethics.
Okay, so I have a couple problems with some of the statements you made there. So for one thing, I would agree that we're omnivorous.
Yep.
I think most anthropologists they actually define human beings as opportunistic eaters. So we'll eat anything that's available to us. Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. But just because you can make that descriptive claim, that doesn't really inform you on what you ought to be doing.
Oh, yeah, I deny the Izot gap, obviously. I do deny it. Izot gap is just antiquated. I hold to Aristotelian ethics. I don't believe in Hume's Izot gap in the way that you guys believe in it now. That's also one.
Okay, so if it was natural for us to rape, you'd say it's fine to rape?
I would say that's a contradiction, because, see, I'm not saying that it's a natural fact. I'm talking about natural ends, okay? And ends are functions. So how eyes function. It is natural. When I say natural, I mean function. So your eyes function so, your corneal reflex functions so that it protects your eye. So from that natural fact, we can infer that a healthy eye ought to do that. Now, that's the same thing I'm saying. We are omnivorous, and from that fact, we can infer that I ought eat meat. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Now,
That doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, that's complete nonsense. So, yeah, we're opportunistic eaters. We'll eat whatever's available to us. That doesn't mean anything that's available to us is healthy. So I don't know why you'd make that assumption.
I wasn't saying it's healthy. I was saying that there isn't anything necessarily morally wrong with eating meat. That was my point.
Oh, okay, so because we do it, it's fine? Like, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I didn't say because we do it, it's fine. I'm saying
it's essentially what you're saying right now.
Since the proper function of us is to consume omnivorously, if that's
Okay,
correct.
why would
then
you
it's not
assume
wrong.
that's a proper function?
Because that's what we can infer from the best
From
evidence.
what?
From our behavior, from our necessity and dependence on animal products.
Okay, well, we don't need it.
Sorry?
Well, we don't need animal products.
Yeah, we do.
I've lived 11 years without eating any animal products, so clearly we don't.
But there is no valid inference between you being able to suppress your natural end to other people having to.
You claimed we need animal products. What
Yeah.
basis do you have to make that claim?
What do you mean, what basis do I have? Animal products have been present throughout human history because
Sure.
animal products were sometimes necessary for humans to survive. In Russia, for
Okay.
example. The fact that you can achieve it some other way does not invalidate the fact that that's how humans evolved.
Okay, well, tribal warfare. I'm sure in certain circumstances were something that we needed to survive. I'm sure rape was something that we used to pass on our genes to survive. Like,
we're misunderstanding. We are, in natural law, rape goes against our end. Our end is to procreate. That's the end of sexual.
Yeah, rape procreates.
Okay, dude, come on. Okay, so that's not a ceremony. So the whole point of marriage is to not just procreate, but also serve to be good parents to those children. Okay, so that's not accomplished by rape. Now, what I'm saying is our proper function.
Absolutely could be. What do you mean?
What do you mean? What I mean? You can't have happy marriages and a normal family being raised if father is just raping a mother, unless you want to define sex as rape, as some people do. So whatever.
I know people personally whose fathers raped their mothers, and that's how they came into existence, and they're totally fine, well-adjusted.
I think you're missing the point. I'm saying that our function, the function of reproductive system of marriage is to raise healthy families. The fact that there are anomalies does not
look, the only thing a biological organism really has an interest in is passing on its genes. How it does that doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
there's plenty of animals.
Yeah,
look, spiders. Spiders.
Yeah, that's because you hold to a very mechanistic conception of the
no, listen to me.
Okay, dude.
Usually there's entire species where the typical course of sexual reproduction is rape. I'm sure you wouldn't be here today if there wasn't a rapist somewhere down your family tree.
Yeah, but you're not understanding. First of all, it could be that the end of those spiders is to rape. I'm just saying that it's not the end of humans, because the end of humans is to procreate and create stable families. Now, again, because you can point to anomalies doesn't justify you negating the.
These aren't anomalies.
We're getting away from the topic.
No, I don't think so. Dude, there's people like Genghis Khan who has raped an absurd amount of women.
But that doesn't justify being the natural.
No. Well, listen, dude. He raped an absurd amount of women. He had sex and impregnated so many women. He literally changed the genetic makeup of China. It's just insane. I don't know how you could claim.
How are you addressing what I said? I'm saying that it's not our natural end to rape. That's the point. Are you saying that it's our natural?
How can you claim that exactly?
Through observance of human behavior, just like
observance of human behavior. I could say it's the natural end to rape. You know how many fucking relationships in history have involved rape?
With empirical
you know how many? Dude, in your Bible there are fucking concubines.
Listen to me, okay, dude. All right, I read the Bible when you were learning to put your pants on. Okay, I'm joking, but the point is, that rape is demonstrably antithetical to procreating families. There are studies about this. Now, if you want to claim,
who cares about families?
Rape is harmful? Yeah, raising a family is the natural end of marriage. Okay, that's
okay.
Why
well, I don't understand why you're involving marriage in this. The argument you're making is that if something is natural, therefore it.
I didn't say if something is natural. I said if it means its natural end. That's the Aristotelian definition of good. If it functions
Okay.
according to how it ought function, do you understand? And how it ought function, we infer from, well, either, well, okay, you won't believe this, but either from God's law, which is revealed, or from the close observance of nature. And that's how we, for example, that's why we oppose abortion, right? We don't oppose abortion for like some stupid reasons. Oh, when I find images, because it goes against natural ends. That's why we oppose it. So that's the same reason why we oppose rape. Now I'm saying all of the observance of human behavior leads us to conclude that eating meat is consistent with our nature. Now, that's not to say that torture of animals is, because it clearly isn't. Okay?
Do you have...
Yeah.
So, I would like your opinion on arranged marriages. Do you think sex that occurs in arranged marriages is probably rape?
Why are you asking me about... This is unrelated. We're having a vegan debate.
Yeah, well, you're making an argument. So you're saying if something is a
gonna,
natural end,
I'm not
therefore
saying it's natural.
good.
Okay, I'm not saying that if it's natural. I'm saying if it's natural. Okay, I'm saying if it is within the proper function of a thing, it's not inherently bad. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm saying that it's
something is a
perfectly
proper
within
function.
our... Yes, so I'm saying it's perfectly within our proper function to consume animal products. And that's being observed throughout human history, through our anatomy of us being omnivores, or some say equal opportunists, and through the ready availability of what was I going to say? Vitamins, I guess, or some ingredients or nutrients in meat that's much harder to get through other nutrition. So I'm saying, what is it that you're demonstrating here and showing that it's not the case? And you haven't addressed the argument that leaving animals out in the wild is just as cruel as veganism. In fact, just as cruel, worse than meat consumption, because you're leaving out animals that are going to suffer, more than likely, suffer and die painful deaths. And you could have them on farms being raised properly. I don't support factory farming. I'm against that. Everybody knows that who's been watching me, okay? Maybe not, but now you know. So you have them raised normally, given normal lives, and being humanely put to death, okay, in keeping with our natural end to consume animal products. Well, you should be opposing.
Use the term natural end.
Yeah, you should be opposing. You should be opposing leaving those animals out in the wild, because they're going to die. Most of them are going to die painful deaths. Okay.
Okay, you use the term natural end. Don't you mean proper function?
Yeah, that's what natural end is.
Okay. Yeah, so this whole idea doesn't make any sense, because
it does.
The animals we eat are domesticated.
That's how you
they don't
judge
exist in the wild. So I don't know why you're claiming that if we let these animals live out in the wild, well, they don't live in the wild.
I mean, they've lived in the wild, right?
No. Cows are a domesticated species, chickens are a domesticated species, pigs even. They're a domesticated species. They can't exist in the wild.
Humans domesticated them for consumption.
Right, but they don't exist in the wild. They're a domesticated species, dude.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
they were domesticated from their ancestors, which
I don't know why you're claiming that if we don't kill and eat them, we'd be harming them, like, to a greater extent. That doesn't even make sense.
I'm saying you should be just as opposed to, for example, keeping ducks out in the public than you are at people who shoot them down to eat them.
Because
they're going to most likely meet terribly painful death.
Okay, so if you, I don't know, if God gave you this power where if you could touch somebody, you can see how they die.
Yeah.
And you knew somebody would die a horrible, painful death, which most people do. Heart attacks are very painful and uncomfortable. Yeah. Cancer is very painful. Do you think you should go out and shoot and kill people who you know are going to die horrible, painful deaths, like heart attack,
because it's against
cancer?
My natural end. I've explained to you. It's against my natural... But as I've said before, I don't think... I'm going to clarify something, by the way, because from what I understand, your viewers are really vicious.
Wait. You said it's against your natural end. Don't you mean proper function?
Yes, it is against my proper... That's what natural end means. But if you don't like the word, it's against my proper function to... them. But more importantly, I'm not claiming that eating meat is necessarily like if you don't eat meat you're bad or you're malfunctioning. I'm saying you can go either way, but our proper function reveals that there isn't anything inherently bad in eating meat. There is something inherently bad in torturing animals. Yeah, we know that. But there isn't.
Do you think there isn't anything inherently bad with eating meat?
Because I think that we are designed to eat meat.
Well, we're not. Can you show us how we're designed to eat meat?
What do you mean? Look at human behavior throughout.
Okay, well, behavior doesn't actually determine design. Can you show me in what way we're designed to eat meat?
But you don't believe in design. You don't believe in teleology.
It doesn't matter. Can you show us in a way that we're designed to eat meat? Like one feature of humans where we're designed to eat meat?
Yeah, our proclivity to learn to hunt.
So, anything we do, we're designed for?
Well, whatever is our proper function is...
Well, you know what, dude? Like, men are very good at raping women. If you look at the majority of sexual assault,
you're missing the
assaults.
point. Okay, you're missing
So I guess
the point.
men are designed to rape?
Okay,
Is that what you're saying?
why are you so obsessed with rape? Okay.
Well, I'm using an example to show how absurd this reasoning is. You're claiming that because we do it, we're designed to do it.
I'm not saying because we do it. Okay, if it's consistent with our proper function. Rape
Yeah,
is
so I'm asking
with
you.
the proper function
Yeah,
of
so you
raising
claimed
a proper family. Okay.
Right. So you
Right?
claimed that the proper function of a human being is to eat meat, and you claimed
No, I
evidence
said
for
that proper function of human beings shows that it's not immoral to eat meat. I'm not saying that it's necessarily your function to eat meat because it's not bad not to. I'm saying that our proper function shows that there is no fact of the matter, I guess, on whether it's bad. That's the point. Is that you, Scythe? Yeah, it is. Hi, Scythe.
Okay, so...
Hey, buddy.
Okay, so you're... This is getting a little confusing.
Well, I know.
How about... Yeah, so have you heard Name the Trait before?
Yeah, it's a terrible argument.
Yeah, so why is it a terrible argument, in your opinion?
Well, because, first of all, it's made by people who are moral anti-realists, which I find
I don't see why that
despicable.
matters.
I'm just saying, I'm just putting out. But more importantly, name the trait argument simply ignores that there are multiple traits we could name. One is the lack of intellect in animals. I'm not saying, yeah. The lack
Okay,
of
so, right, okay, so if a human being lacked intellect, you'd be fine with killing
human
that
beings
human being?
cannot lack intellect. What human beings
Well,
can
yeah,
have...
they can.
No, but you're not listening. What human beings can have is something frustrating their ability to actualize intellect. But remember, for Aristotelians, something frustrating your end doesn't mean that you aren't directed towards that end. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
It's evidentially the case that there are human beings that lacked intellect. So, like what you just said,
that's because something is frustrating their end. Animals, on the other hand, some animals, by the way, I'm open to some animals having proto-intellects like apes. I'm saying the animals that obviously cannot.
Didn't you say dogs?
Yeah, dogs
are on that list.
Dogs are on that list, but for a different reason, not because of proto-intellects. They're because of their natural end to serve humans as devout friends. So you don't slaughter your friends.
You don't slaughter friends.
Yes.
You realize you can have domesticated cows, chickens, pigs.
Yeah, but
that will be as friendly to you as dogs.
Yeah, but their natural end isn't to their natural end isn't to be friends with human beings.
Why?
What do you mean?
How do you determine that?
By observance of behavior. So, for example, some pigs will eat the flesh of their master.
Some dogs will eat the flesh of their master, like pit bulls.
Yeah, but
that happens all the time. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but again,
so
as I've explained to you, those are anomalies, and those are versions from the proper function.
What do you mean anomalies? Like, dude, you think dog attacks are abnormal? Are you kidding me?
Dog attacks, okay, listen. Dog attacks, okay, are things that are malfunctions in the dog. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
how are they a malfunction in the dog?
Because if the dog had been functioning properly, it would be friends with the owner. Do you understand that?
This is hilarious. You think dogs malfunction.
Well, I just used an analogous term.
Right, okay. So you think dogs malfunction when they attack their owners?
Well, there is something in them that malfunctions, yeah. If their functioning was proper, if they were nothing was frustrating their natural end, they would not attack their owners. That's why we know that it's bad for them.
So tell me, do you think there are more pit bull attacks, or do you think there are more cow attacks or chicken attacks?
There are probably more pit bull attacks. I didn't say that cows attack their masters. I didn't say that. I'm just saying
Right,
that the end the cows were bred for were to be consumed, whereas the end of the dogs was to be friends with human beings.
Oh, okay, so because we bred these animals
No,
for
I
a
didn't say
specific
because we bred them.
purpose.
It's the other way around. We bred them because we bred them because it was our function to be able to consume their meat. Do you understand? Whereas with the dogs, there is nothing analogous to that.
There are people who do that with dogs.
Well, that's why
That's commonplace in China, Korea.
Exactly, which is why it's wrong, because it goes against the end.
Why is that wrong? You just said it's fine to breed animals for meat. Okay, well, why is it wrong to breed dogs for meat?
I didn't say that it's right to breed all animals for meat. I think
So why are dogs special to any other animal?
I've explained to you because it's the end of dogs to be our friends, and you don't eat
your
friends.
No. It's not the end of dogs to be your friends. That's entirely up to you whether you want that to be the case.
Okay, but dogs are... Okay, so there's a saying, right? Dogs are man's best friends, and that's based on empirical research.
Yeah, so what animal is more likely to severely attack you? A dog or a cow or a chicken?
Yeah, but those are saying which animal is more likely to malfunction. Right. That's irrelevant.
So apparently a chicken should be killed, but a dog that's much more likely to viciously attack you and kill you.
I didn't say that chicken should be killed. I'm saying that it is not against our ends to consume animals like chicken for meat, whereas it is against our ends to turn on our friends. Do you understand that?
Well, what do you mean? You decide who's your friend or not.
Well,
I could decide a chicken's my friend. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't decide that. Natural law decides that for us.
What do you mean natural law decides that? I would love to hear this explanation. How you decide what animals are friends or not.
Vegan, I just want to say, I'm just popping in here because having worked with chickens and dogs in the past, I can absolutely tell you that a chicken is 1,000 times more likely to attack a human than a dog. Like,
they're vicious.
No, not necessarily. I know roosters can be pretty territorial, but usually female chickens are pretty friendly. I've been around chickens plenty. We have a horse that we rescued, and we stable him at a barn. We've switched barns a lot, and most of these barns have chickens just running around. You can walk up to them; they're fine. There's even roosters at some of these places, and the roosters don't fuck with you.
They just came in to say that thing. They didn't come in to debate you. They just wanted
sure.
to make that comment. Yeah. So now, are you going to defend anything? I've been on the defensive for like 20 minutes. Now, when is your turn to defend stuff?
Okay, well, you made the claim that you can determine what's your friend or not. I want to hear this
we can determine natural ends of living things. We can determine them.
Yeah, so how do I determine
how do you determine what's a good triangle?
Are friends?
Yeah, so how do you determine what a good triangle is? How do you determine it? How do you determine that if I scribble a triangle whose sides do not total 280 degrees...
Yeah, so I don't know what triangles have to do with determining who friends are, but...
Yeah, we determine what the end of dogs is. The end of dogs is to be faithful to their masters,
so in countries like Afghanistan, India, where there's shit tons of wild dogs that attack people, or
those are dogs that are frustrated. Those dogs' ends are frustrated by events. Do you understand that? Some events have led to the state of affairs where their natural end is frustrated. That's the point.
Okay, how do you know that that's not their natural end and we haven't just manipulated their genes or behavior in some sort of way?
By observance of nature. That's how we know natural law. Read Aristotle.
No, like...
Here, I have a book of Aristotle. I'm a philosopher.
How do you know that the natural end of a dog isn't to attack and kill people, but it's to be friends?
Through my senses.
Through your senses.
Yeah, that's how I know everything. Aristotelians are empiricists.
What do you mean an empiricist? You can go to places where dogs normally are very territorial, attack people, and you can go to places where they're very friendly and socialized. Okay, how do you know what's natural or not?
Don't. Okay, so when we're talking about dogs here, we're talking about the domestic dogs. We're not talking about people who belong in the, like, wolf dogs or something like that. We weren't talking about those. We were talking about
Yeah, so I'm not talking about wolves or wolf dog hybrids. You can
Okay.
go to places where there's domesticated dogs, but they're feral.
Exactly.
They
So,
and
so
yeah,
since states of
so
affairs have frustrated their end, that doesn't negate the general rule. That's the main Aristotelian
well,
principle.
no, I don't understand why you'd assume that's not their natural state, and you're just doing
The
something
same
to
way I
disrupt
can
their
assume
natural
that
state.
same way I assume that cancer isn't how body is supposed to function, even though cancer is very frequent. The fact that cancer is frequent doesn't
I don't know
mean
what cancer has anything to do with this.
you're not going to learn if you don't listen, right? We can determine that cancer or heart attack is a malfunction in the body, even if it's really common. That's the same way we can determine that naturally, if everything is going well, the function of dogs is to be friendly with humans. And that end may be frequently frustrated, but that doesn't negate that the end is there. That's what you're not understanding.
Yeah, okay, I don't
Okay?
understand. Okay, so how do you even determine that cancer isn't something that's a proper function?
Well, take it up with the doctors. It's through natural law. I've explained to you.
Well, no, I don't
Aristotelian-
understand
Have you
why
read Nicomachean in Ethics? I'm joking. I never do that. I was joking.
Right, so I don't understand how you come to the conclusion that something is and isn't a natural function. Cancer could be a natural function. Like, it's encoded into our genes sometimes, where you can determine for sure someone will get cancer.
Yeah, that's because you have a worldview that's confused, jumbled by Hume and others, right? You have to go to a worldview that was actually something people held to before it got.
Well, no. So, what's his name? Something Weinstein. Yeah, he actually he talked about this. So, no, cancer can actually be a natural function. So, in biological organisms, you always have to have some sort of trade-off. What you can find in some animals, like rats, longevity, living very long. Yeah, so listen. Having a very long life expectancy can also increase your risk of cancer because of things like telomere length. I don't know why you would assume something like cancer is not a natural function of a biological being. It could very well be. It might just be an evolutionary trade-off.
Because the body is designed to survive, and cancer inhibits that end to survive.
No, it might not.
Okay,
so
now you're just making stuff up.
No, it might not. Cancer might actually be a survival benefit because longer telomere. No,
listen to me, Vegan Gains. I'm not asking you to bring up exceptions. Okay.
I'm not bringing up exceptions.
Okay, listen to me. You're an exception, right?
Okay, wait. Let me give you a better example that you might be able to understand. Sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is
your own world.
No. Can you just listen, dude? Can you listen, dude? So sickle cell anemia, it's an adaptation to prevent malaria infections. Now, sickle cell anemia has a lot of drawbacks. It can put you at higher risk of heart attack and stroke.
I can't comment on that.
Yeah, you can. No, I'm giving you an example of how I can give you
every single case. I'm giving you that there is a way that the body functions and the way it malfunctions. Do you understand that?
Well, no. What I'm pointing out is
the famous Aristotelian
what I'm pointing out is this idea is ridiculous. Sometimes what we consider malfunctions are specific adaptations that are actually beneficial for survival. Having this idea of malfunction and function is just stupid.
Okay, listen to me, but all that would prove is that we were mistaken on what the function was. That wouldn't prove that the idea is stupid. So that's a non-sequitur.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you. Do you think sickle cell anemia is a dysfunction?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Okay, well, if it increases your survival to, like, survive malaria, would you consider it a dysfunction?
Yes, because it undermines body within its own right.
You literally just said, if something is functioning properly, it increases your chances of survival. So how would sickle cell anemia be a dysfunction?
I don't understand. Sickle cell anemia is deadly.
So is malaria. And the reason you see so many people with sickle cell anemia in Africa is because sickle cell anemia helps you survive malaria, and pretty much everyone in those regions will get malaria.
Okay, listen to me.
So how can you say sickle cell anemia is a dysfunction?
Okay, this is just a meme argument. Okay,
no, it's not. Your claims are absurd. This idea you have about something functioning and malfunctioning is just stupid. It doesn't make sense. There are things that you would consider a malfunction that are actually beneficial for survival for the organism.
I'm a philosophy major at a top university. I know what I'm talking. I'm not making stuff
up.
Well,
no, you don't know what you're talking about in this case. You can't just look at something and say, oh, well, cancer is a dysfunction, when, no, certain people might be at higher risk for cancer because other factors, other genetic factors increase survival for other reasons. You're undermining
your own worldview, because on your worldview, it might be totally legitimate to do something that seems bad, like torture animals for fun, and that goes to my.
You're changing the topic now.
Okay, we're just talking past each other. Okay, now I'm going to say to you, your examples simply could provide, even though they don't, they're garbage, but they could provide that we were wrong about functions. They don't undermine Aristotelian Thomistic analysis of natural law ethics. Right now, what the problem is here is that you're not responding to the arguments that were put forward. What is it that you think, okay, what is it in your worldview that, because I've been defending my worldview, you haven't defended your worldview once, right? You have a worldview that undermines your whole thing. You still hold to the Izot gap. How can you hold to the Izot gap while inferring from the natural pain of animals that they ought not suffer? You have a problem right over there, okay? There's a glaring problem in your worldview.
I don't see how that's contradictory at all.
Okay, so now
but
I'm going to ask you again,
the issue is...
Okay, do you agree that
we haven't settled this? No, dude, we haven't settled this. You claimed that you can determine whether something is natural or a dysfunction.
I didn't claim it. I'm just repeating it. I didn't come up with this. This is natural law ethics, okay?
Well, you're the one. Well, you're saying you support this belief. So.
Yeah, I do, because I'm an Aristotelian.
Right. So, how do you determine if something is a natural function or a dysfunction? Okay. So you claimed that sickle cell anemia is a dysfunction when it increases survival likelihood. Okay, so how is it a dysfunction?
It's a dysfunction because it undermines body's process of producing anemia. That's.
Dude, it increases your chances of survival. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but me shooting you in the head also increases your chances of not being flayed alive. That doesn't.
I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with anything. You're claiming you can determine whether or not something is a natural function or a dysfunction. Nature.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So how is sickle cell anemia
Hey,
a
Vegan
dysfunction?
Gains, join my Discord.
Okay, bye. I was just trolling. Sorry, we have. Bunch of
so like I'm just showing you how this idea is ridiculous. You can't really determine if something is a natural, proper process or a dysfunction, because a lot of things that you would consider to be a dysfunction are actually genetic mutations that are beneficial for survival, at least in certain marginal cases, like sickle cell anemia. If your risk of dying from malaria is so high, and sickle cell anemia protects you from malaria, it might increase your risk of heart attack, stroke. It can also make it so your work capacity is lower. It can do a lot of things like cause exhaustion. I think it can even cause kidney cancer in some cases. So, but if your risk of dying of malaria is higher, then there's going to be favoritism for sickle cell anemia. Like that gene that causes sickle cell anemia is going to propagate. So, this idea of having proper natural function and dysfunction is just stupid. Like, biological organisms don't work this way. Everything is a trade-off.
You're just not. Okay. You're just not.
Can you? Okay, wait. Can you say, like, do you think aging, just the process of aging, is a dysfunction?
What? Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Do you think the process of aging, like every organism is going to die eventually? Do you think the process of aging is a dysfunction?
The way we age today, probably, yeah.
What do you mean the way we age today?
Well, the way aging happens today, where with the breakdown of cells, stuff like that.
Okay, so today, like, was aging different 100 years ago?
Well, I mean, we believe in deduction of original sin, right? So we believe that affected the aging process. Now, I'm not a young Earth creationist. I'm actually a theistic.
Okay, sure. So you're saying God
I'm not a young
punished
Earth
us with mortality, and that's a
No,
dysfunction.
I do think that people were aging before that. I'm just saying that the aging process might be changed. But again, these are theological views. They don't have anything to do with it.
Okay, but I mean, like, you can
Our
look
natural end is to be in harmony with God, okay? And we are ageless. Our body experiences pain, and that's against the natural end.
All right, dude. Your claim was that you can determine whether or not something is a proper natural function or a dysfunction. I'm pointing out that you can't. At least not in most cases.
That doesn't mean I'm going to answer you on every single thing you were asking me. I'm saying that we as humans can, through observance of nature, determine how something ought be, as formulated by Aristotle in Nicomachean Ethics.
Okay, and
the famous adage is, good is
sure,
bad.
and I'm pointing out how that idea is just complete nonsense. You can't determine whether something... Look, in a lot of cases, you can't determine whether something is a natural function or a dysfunction.
Okay,
like the sickle cell anemia example.
There was a time I didn't understand Ludwig Wittgenstein, and I used to think it was like bad. But after I understood it, it just made sense. You know, just don't let your imagination limit you. That's my point. Don't let your imagination limit you.
Okay, so the claim you made was that you can determine if something is a natural, proper function or a dysfunction.
I said humans can. Humans
okay,
can.
Well, you're human, right? So that means you can?
No, that doesn't mean that I necessarily can. I don't do all the scientific research. I don't do all the empirical measurements.
Oh.
I don't do those. I stand on the shoulder of giants, okay?
So you're saying you could possibly make mistakes?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you could be mistaken about the natural function of dogs. You could be mistaken about the natural function of pigs or chickens or cows.
But when you say could, in what way? Is it logically possible? Is it metaphysically possible? What possibility modality are you using? I could be, yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, logically possible.
It's logic. Yeah. It's
so I'm asking you, right? So I've been asking you this before. Like, how do you determine that the natural function of dogs is to be our friends? When feral dogs that don't have any socialization with humans, they seem to be very aggressive to humans.
Yeah, that's just a very broad epistemological question. How do you determine that you're not 5'1"? You know, there is no simple answer through your senses. Yeah, exactly. But what if that measurement was a dream? You could always do a reduction.
Well, okay. I mean, you're getting into like territory here where. You know, it's like you're getting into solipsism territory where we have to make some assumptions.
Exactly. I'm not a solipsist. I'm an empiricist, as I said, as a Aristotelian.
But if you're an empiricist, then what empirical evidence do you have that the natural function of a dog...
All evidence is empirical for us. Because, again, Aristotelians are empiricists.
No. Well, it's clearly not. Like, this whole idea of natural function is a freaking normative claim. Like, what do you mean? You can't empirically determine that.
Yeah, because you hold to the Izot gap, which we deny.
This has nothing to do with the Izot gap. You claimed that you can determine whether something is a natural function, like whether or not dogs are friends, and, like, this is a normative claim. This isn't something you can empirically prove. So that's complete nonsense.
Okay, you're just begging the question against the Aristotelian.
I'm not begging the question.
Yeah.
So, like again, dude, I'm asking you, what empirical evidence do you have that dogs' natural function is to be our friend?
It's empirical. It's a redundant thing. For Aristotelians, all evidence is empirical. Because
okay, so what evidence do you have that the natural function of a dog is to be our friend, but the natural function of a cow is to be meat?
I didn't say that the natural function of the cow is to be meat. I'm saying that the natural function reveals that there isn't anything inherently problematic.
Okay, but you're saying there is something inherently problematic with eating dogs.
Yes.
Okay, what's the empirical evidence for that?
What do you mean? Am I supposed to show you the evidence that shows that dogs have kind of loyalty that many other animals don't exhibit, that throughout history they've demonstrated that loyalty towards us, that they love us literally, that they have
I've seen that from plenty of other animals, dude. I've met cows, goats, chickens that are very loving, that'll come up and hug you, ask for pets.
I've explained to you that there are animals that I make exceptions for, right? So one of the biggest Oh my gosh. Who is this? Is this the actual Detroiter?
What's up, buddy?
Oh my gosh, it's Detroiter.
Sorry, continue. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry, I'm just educating Vegan Gains over here about ethics. He just needs to learn a little bit. Now, okay, Vegan Gains. You'll be a good student. I can teach you analytic philosophy. Do you want to learn from me?
Well, I just want to settle this issue we have. Where
there is no
like,
issue to be settled if you're going to keep missing the point. Are you going to
I'm not
defend
missing
your,
any point, dude.
Are you going to defend your worldview? Because you undermine
Okay,
your
well,
own worldview.
you're...
On your worldview, you can't know what a proper function of anything is. You've undermined yourself, okay? So your paradigm is completely
I don't
wrong.
know why it matters if I know the proper function of anything.
Because
the claim
you
you're
undermine
making...
your own worldview. Your own worldview.
No. So you're claiming that the proper function of like a dog is to be our friend. How do you
That's
determine
one
that?
of many ends. Yeah, those through observance of nature. That's how you determine natural
Okay, cool.
law.
Dingoes. They fucking steal babies and eat them. So
listen
I guess
to-
it's natural for dogs to be vicious killers who fucking murder humans.
Do you know what a non sequitur is? It's spelled N-O-N dash S.
Dude, this is a normative claim you're making. There's no way for you to actually empirically prove that the natural end
That's
of like a
question
dog
begging.
is to be a friend.
But
No,
we've done it.
It's not.
So okay, so get over it. We've done it.
No,
Yeah, we've done it.
you haven't.
Aristotle did it. Plato did it. Aquinas did it. You know.
Like, this doesn't make any sense. I could just as easily claim the natural end of a dog is to kill and eat people. It's just that we
Well, you'd be
manipulate
wrong.
their
You'd be
genes
wrong.
and we socialize them in a way where they forego their natural instincts and they end up being our friends. Like, how could you
Destroyer-
disprove
Destroyer,
that?
do you think I'm
Yeah.
destroying?
How
vegan-
could you disprove that?
Yeah, Destroyer, do you think I'm beating Vegan Gains right now?
No.
Okay, he doesn't know what. He's just trying to be polite. He's just trying
Please
to
explain to me how you could disprove my
True
claim.
observance of nature.
What? Okay, what observance? Please tell me.
Okay, you observe of what the. Okay, how do you determine what a good triangle is? By observing how triangles, what triangles are directed towards. So you examine
Triangles
what
are
dogs are
directed towards
directed towards. Okay, Betrayer, you want to take my course? That's fine. You can take my course.
Yeah, dude. Why don't you jump in, dude?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like your
I don't
opinion
know.
on this.
Wait,
I
Vegan
don't-
Gains, you know Detroiter, right?
I'm not too familiar with him now.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if we've ever interacted before, but if we have, it's through AY. But I don't know. Yeah, this whole natural teleology view, it just all seems like nonsense to me. When
Yeah,
you
because-
say,
Yeah, you don't know anything about Aristotle.
well, sure I do, but when you say like the natural function of a dog, or is to what, do the things that are constitutive of being a dog? I don't understand.
Well, do that which is consistent with a dog sans something frustrating that end. So that's what you
Sans?
forgot. Yeah. So without something frustrating that end.
So, insofar as it is a dog, nothing can frustrate the ends, right?
No, it could
of
be
being a
because
dog.
there could be a bad dog, right? Think about triangles. There can be a bad triangle whose sides do not equal to 180 degrees, but that doesn't mean that the triangle isn't a triangle. I could scribble a triangle. You could recognize the triangle. It was my intention to draw a triangle, but I failed at it. Now, that's the point with Vegan Gains. There are
is it a-
dogs
is
that
it a-
devour... Stop. There are dogs
Look.
that devour their...
You just are inconsistent. If
Can I finish?
if you
Can
fail,
I-
then it's not a triangle.
Can I finish? Okay. Now, Vegan Gains was bringing examples. I don't know what your name is. My name is Joshua or Josh. Like, do you want me to call you VG? Or Vegan Gains?
Yeah, it's fine. You can call me Richard, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Dick. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard. I like Richard. That's a nice name. So, this is the problem, right? Okay, here we have a problem. He's bringing up exceptions. He's saying, okay, here's a dog, and it ate its owners. But that's a malfunction. That's what it's not supposed to do. Just
According
as if
to
I
what?
draw... Let me finish. If I draw a triangle, and we examine the triangle, and the triangle sides do not equal to 180 degrees, that's what I was not supposed to do because it's not consistent with the essence of the triangle to not equal to 180 degrees. Now, that's the same thing. There's something that frustrated that end. The end of me drawing the triangle was frustrated perhaps by my shaky hands. Yeah, my hands shake. I'm sorry. That happens.
Yeah.
And the problem with dogs that devour their owners is something frustrating their ends. For example, incorrect upbringing, neurological disorder, right?
Look,
but you're undermining your own worldview when you're saying
hang
that
on.
there is no natural teleology because you're stuck in a mechanistic conception of the world, and that mechanistic conception of the world is completely destroyed.
The examples you bring up are like clearly disanalogous, right? When you talk about your ends being frustrated when you fail, for some reason or another fail to draw a triangle, that's fine, right? You had some intention, you didn't succeed in fulfilling it. The dog's intentions presumably were fulfilled.
Anti-realist nonsense that they bring up.
Presumably, the dog's intentions to devour the family were fulfilled, and it still remained a dog.
Okay,
I don't see what else.
Problem. Okay, this is the problem with you confusing natural teleology with simply intentions. Okay,
No.
in a sense, there are intentions behind natural teleology, but those intentions are of God. You don't have to believe in that. There are some that don't believe in that. That's fine. That's the fifth way of Aquinas. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
The point is that things function properly and improperly, and that's the whole. That's why the whole medical system exists. Okay, if everything functioned,
No.
okay.
No, that's not why the medical system
I know what I'm
exists.
talking about.
The medical system
I-
exists is
okay,
because
look,
there's,
I was
there's ways
reading
we desire to
Aristotle.
function.
I was reading Aristotle when I was 11. Okay, when I was 11, I was reading Aristotle. Okay,
Okay,
all right.
and then
Now,
we've gone a couple of years since then. Have you not finished reading it?
okay, I was reading Aristotle when I was 11. Okay, what were
Okay.
you doing when you were 11, Detroiter? Sorry, hanging out at Jewish parties? Yeah, that's what I thought.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
I was never Jewish.
Okay, yeah. Guys, he's just
Okay.
like 87% Jew. He's like 87% Ashkenazi and 30% Sephardi. That's it. Nothing else. 13% Sephardi. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Now. Okay, so vegan gains. Do you understand why you've undermined your own worldview?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
Like, look,
if you're
the
stuck in
problem...
a world where there is no function, David, 3 seconds to talk.
Oh man,
What?
I'm just here to listen, man.
Oh yeah, you can. We have some trolls. I'm not kicking anybody's welcome to join in. I just don't want some trolls coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. So vegan gains. Do you understand why you've just undermined?
Yeah,
your whole worldview?
I didn't. Like, the problem is when you make these claims that you can determine the natural function of something.
Okay.
Like,
listen to
natural
me.
function of,
Okay,
like,
listen to me.
what?
Okay. Listen to me. Things are directed towards ends. Do you understand what that means?
According to who? According to what?
Like, okay,
like, again, there's
the
just a
fu-
normative
okay.
claim that you're making that you have no
this is
empirical
because
evidence
you're
for.
stuck with Humean brain. Okay, you have to.
This has nothing to do with
Yeah,
Hume,
you have to
dude.
get rid of that junk.
This has nothing to do with Hume.
I know
The
you-
dog eats a family. The dog isn't
Okay.
not being a dog.
Okay, you've
Like-
been- yeah, I understand. It's not being a dog. It's still a dog. That's the Aristotelian thesis. It's just not functioning as it ought function. Do you understand?
According to who? According to you, or according to the dog? According
the
to some
natural
other
function
animal?
of the dog.
How do you determine the natural
Through
function
observance
of a
of
dog?
nature, through
Okay,
observance
cool.
of
So I've seen dingoes fucking eat babies. I've seen pit bulls fucking tear people to shreds.
You understand
I've
what I
seen
say?
German shepherds eat cats.
Oh my God.
Like, what are you talking about? These are natural occurrences that I see all the time.
This is the problem over here, okay? I'm not saying that everything that occurs in nature is good. What I'm saying is, unless the end of the dog is frustrated, it will be friends with a human being. Unless
I
the
could
end-
claim the ends of the dog is frustrated by being friends with a human being. Like, what argument do you have against that?
Okay, I've explained to you that this is based on observance of nature.
Like, dude, the like domesticated dogs, they've come from like wolves and shit. Like,
Okay, it
wolves
could
weren't
be-
really
okay,
friends
it-
with humans.
okay, it
Like,
could
we
be-
frustrated wolves to be friends with us. I don't know why you would assume
That
that
could
dogs
be
aren't
true.
being frustrated.
That could be
Like,
true. That could be true. I'm saying now, as dogs exist currently, unless their end is frustrated, they have whole biological systems that help them be friendly with us. Help us in our
Dude,
daily life.
there are cultures that are terrified of dogs. If you ever met somebody from like Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, it's very common for those people to be terrified
you're
of dogs
you're
because
just
a
missing the-
lot of dogs in those countries are vicious and they attack people.
I'm sorry
like that's
for
just
being too
commonplace.
Aristotelian for you. Okay.
So I don't know why you would assume it's like natural for a dog to be friendly with human. Like
Okay,
I could just assume
I'm not
that
saying it's natural. I'm saying it's a natural end. The same way I understand that it's proper for your corneal reflex to function rather than malfunction. Do you understand?
How do you determine a malfunction?
What do you mean? It behaves.
How do you determine a malfunction? I would just like to know.
That's a really broad claim. Make it specific. How do I determine that? What's up, human animal? How are you, buddy? Everybody's free to join as long as you guys won't like spam pornography or something, or like harass me. Sorry. So, Vegan Games, do you understand the problem of your worldview?
No, there's no problem with my worldview.
I'm happy to give you a seminar. Okay, if you want me to give you a seminar, I'm happy to give you a seminar.
I'm just very confused how you determine whether or not something's a malfunction. Like, dude, the way biological organisms work, something could be a malfunction, but it could be a beneficial malfunction. Like sickle cell anemia. I know there's certain things like Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome, which is probably...
The fact that there are exceptions does not negate the rule, okay? The fact that there are exceptions doesn't negate the rule, okay? Do you understand that? And this is...
That's not an exception. I don't know what you mean.
Okay. You're saying that sickle cell anemia is good for the body. That's demonstrably false. It's a malfunction.
No, it is. No, it's actually good for the body. It actually increases your...
but that's again your utilitarian philosophy showing. We reject
How is sickle cell anemia a malfunction when it increases your chances of survival?
That's consequentialism. That something is good depending on the consequences. We would reject that.
Okay, so let's say if you had genes that helped you live an extremely long life, but it actually
I'm
reduced...
tired of these hypotheticals. Can you defend veganism for a change?
Okay, sure. Okay, so I think
yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So I think I believe that veganism is...
Okay, are we omnivorous?
So I think we're opportunistic eaters, so by that definition, I guess you could say we're naturally omnivorous, like we just eat whatever the hell's in front of us, sure, but is an omnivorous diet ideal for human health? I would argue no. Vegans and vegetarians tend to live longer.
Okay, is it the case that we ought not eat animals?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you think that's based on our proper function?
Proper function according to who?
I don't understand. Proper function by definition is objective. That's what the word proper is doing there.
How do you determine proper function? That's a normative claim. That's completely subjective.
How you determine something is different from what it is. That's the epistemology ontology bridge, okay? I know you need some pointers on this one. I'm joking. I'm not condescending usually, unless it's the Troyer, because he doesn't know shit. But
right.
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, he didn't go to 1/10 of the university he's gone to, okay? It's like,
I don't know what, like, I don't know why you keep bringing up proper function. Proper function according to who?
Proper function according to who is something that a child would be embarrassed to say, okay? If it's proper function, the according to who is redundant. That's what the word proper is doing there.
This is a normative claim, so yeah, it would have to be according to an individual.
You hold to the is-ought gap. That's why you have problems. When you forsake that ancient delusion, the world opens up. I've explained to you. You still have that Humean influence on you because you've been brain. I'm sorry,
dude. The problem is this is like a weird normative claim. So yeah, this would be relative to the individual. Like proper function according to who? Like I might have a desire to be vegan. Somebody else might have a desire to eat meat. Like according to somebody else, I might not be fulfilling my proper function. Like I don't know what this means.
Well, yeah, you're just not familiar with Aristotelian ethics. That's fine. Neither is the Troyer. It's not a problem.
Because he wants to say that, like, in virtue of the sort of thing we are, right?
Yeah.
We just have certain functions which are proper, and when we're not functioning in those ways, we're malfunctioning.
Yes, something is frustrating.
We're not fulfilling the ends which are sort of constitutive of the sort of thing we are. And, right, and I just don't... And when he starts talking about the sort of ends we have, like independent of the... I mean, he starts talking about the ends we have independent of the sort of commitments and desires we have. And in doing so, I just don't even know what's being said.
Well,
right?
because you have a self-undermining worldview.
Yeah, so dude, if you're gonna make if you're gonna make a claim like this based on some sort of observation, you have to cross the Izot gap. Like, simple as that.
The Izot gap was crossed by Arthur Pryor. It was crossed by John Searle.
John Searle.
Yeah, it was crossed by what is his name, Charles Pidgeon. They devised syllogisms that cross the gap. It's actually been discovered that the Izot gap is a trivial example. You can't derive an H2O from premises that use water. That doesn't mean that there is a gap between them. That's garbage. And more importantly, of course, that we can use Aristotelian logic to decimate it. So the Izot gap was deflowered a long time ago.
Okay,
The community hasn't been able to catch up. Check out Arthur Pryor's counterexample is completely decimated. Even Detroyer agrees. Even Detroyer agrees that they work against the Izot gap.
So I would, yes. So for one thing, I want to ask you if I could.
Detroyer agrees with me.
I don't think he does.
The Pryor's examples, he agrees that they undermine the Izot gap.
I'd love to see him argue with you on whether or not you can cross the Izot gap.
He agreed on me. He said he agreed with me the last time. He said that he thought that the Izot gap was challenged by those. Those were interesting examples.
Can you give us one of these examples? Because you've been saying that certain people have crossed the gap, but
yeah, Arthur Pryor.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a syllogism that crossed it. But more importantly, I'm gonna give it right now. But before I do, I want to make something.
The prior examples were especially bad ones, right? Wasn't that just didn't you give the one about like the sea captain or something?
No, that's not the one.
Could I just ask you if I could prove that, like, say, a vegan diet is healthier for you, like you'd live longer, you'd lower risk of disease?
I actually was a vegan for a day. I was a vegan for a day. And you know what happened?
Then he had a disgusting cake, I know. Yeah.
I ate a disgusting cake and I vomited 3 times. And I haven't looked back to veganism since then.
Yeah,
I swear, I was a vegan for a day. Or 2.
But I mean,
not really being a vegan, though. It's just
since you believe you can cross an Izot gap, like if I could prove that, I don't know, animal agriculture is less good for the environment, kills more animals, it's harmful to human health, like would you actually...
I don't support animal agriculture, okay? That's not what I'm debating about. My debate isn't about factory farming, which
okay,
my debate,
but I mean...
Stop. My debate, okay? My debate is about whether it's morally impermissible to eat meat. My argument was not about animal agriculture. It wasn't about factory farming. Okay?
Yeah, but I mean, since you believe that you can cross the Izot gap and you can...
No, I don't believe that we can. I believe we have. And we also have demonstrated that the Izot gap is a trivial claim. I've explained to you. It's impossible to get from the premises only mentioning water a conclusion that states H2O. Of course, Hume didn't have access to the advanced logic we now know, and from this, he erroneously concluded that it could not be crossed. But now we have access to more complex logic, and Arthur Pryor showed how using this logic we can derive ought from an is. I have a paper about it, and this has been Detroit conceded it last time. He said that, yeah, those examples do successfully show it, and now he's just chickening out.
Well, I'm trying to remember which examples, because the ones I remember that you talked about from prior, like
no, those aren't the ones. Those aren't the ones.
Then you'll have to refresh my memory because I don't remember agreeing to some.
Where there is either this should be done or everyone ought to be slaughtered or something like that. Do you remember that? Let me see.
Oh, right. There was something with a disjunction. Yeah, I remember thinking about that. You have to give the example again.
Yeah, exactly. Detroit actually agreed with that. That actually successfully solved the Izot gap, and now he's just chickening out. There it is. Okay.
Which one is it?
Well, I'll just put the paper in the chat, I guess. I'll put it on YouTube because here's too many trolls in the voice chat. Where do I have it?
Well, could you also put it in the private chat here?
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't have YouTube open.
Wait, there it is. Where is it? Okay. Wait, how do I put it? It's an attachment. How do I put an attachment? Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, whatever. I'm going to give the argument here. Okay, here it is. It's just an attachment. Who cares? So here it is. Okay. Now, here it is.
Also, as an aside, speaking of morality, Jonathan Dancy tomorrow, noon Eastern. My server.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, make sure to go subscribe to Detroit's channel and then immediately unsubscribe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We just made it to 500, something.
Yeah, and then immediately unsubscribe so you heard him. Okay, there it is. So let's see. Okay, so here it is. Here's the best example. So yeah, there you go. So this was the one that Pryor made. Okay, so the Pryor this was actually 1960. So Vegan Gains, you're behind by half a century. It's not more.
Good math, but sure.
Yeah. So let's see here. Okay, so here was the first one. So first one was this one. This was the scenario he called tea drinking one. Tea drinking is common in England, therefore either tea drinking is common in England or all New Zealanders ought to be shot. Now this inference is actually valid, but if one were to reject that from this one, you wait, how is it? But the moral seems to be essential. Okay, so if somebody were to say that the second premise, either tea drinking is common in England or all New Zealanders ought to be shot, is not moral, then Pryor has the second example. He calls it tea drinker 2, which is tea drinking is not common in England. Either tea drinking is common in England or all New Zealanders ought to be shot. Therefore, all New Zealanders ought to be shot. And this is another valid inference. And if the second premise...
Wait.
Yeah.
Isn't that only valid if the...
Okay, I'm banning Detroiter. Bye. I'm joking.
That's valid if the well, it's valid, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just another disjunctive syllogism, but the
okay, you have a valid syllogism where you can infer in it is from an odd or not from an is, right?
what is the form again? Either it's not the case that
so first one is the first one is, and if you disagree with the first one,
Yeah.
he has the other one. First is tea drinking is
the first one's no good, but let's go to the second one again.
tea drinking is not common in England. This is if you deny the first one.
Yeah.
Either tea drinking is common in England or all New Zealanders ought to be shot. Therefore, all New Zealanders ought to be shot. So if the second premise is moral, tea drinker 1 is a valid is-ought inference, the first one we went over. But if the second P is not moral, the second premise that either tea drinking is common in England or all New Zealanders, then tea drinking number 2, the one I just gave, is a valid is-ought inference. So either way, we have a counter example to no ought from an is thing. And this is a paper that I can send Detroit by mail if he wants.
By mail.
Yeah, by mail.
Why would you send me a paper by mail?
Yeah, I'll just send you. Wait, do you recall that I have a policy against reading papers or books online?
Really?
Yeah, you're not supposed to. Wait, Vegan Gains or Richard, you don't know like Detroit?
No.
No, you don't.
I never met him before or anything.
Oh, my.
He's just a Jewish man, nothing.
I'd go on camera, but I look like shit.
But what do you mean? I thought you like always look good.
I look alright, but I don't feel like going.
Okay, so now are you willing to concede, Detroiter, that we have a valid is from an ought inference?
Well, it's a valid argument. I don't.
Yeah. So we have valid argument from an ought. As them, and Detroiter admitted that last time, so now he's trying to. What's your email again? Wait, where should I send it? Detroit Discord?
Sure.
Yeah, there it is. I'll attach it. I just messaged here. Where is it? There it is. It's from. It's a famous one. You just have to scroll a little bit, and you're going to see the form, and then that's there. Just use Control.
Well, aren't these two different things? Just because an argument is valid, that doesn't mean you've actually crossed
no, but
the
is-ought gap. Yeah, it is. But the original assertion of Hume was that there is no logically valid way, and what we've demonstrated with Pryor is, oh my gosh, how many people are... Wait, John W., speak up. I just want to make sure you're not a troll, that's all. I'm not trying to be... Okay, he left. So, Vegan Gains, the point is that is-ought gap has been demonstrated to be trivial, because at the time of Hume, they didn't have access to this kind of logic that we have access to now. Now, what they... And the reason it's trivial is because I've explained there is no gap between water and H2O, but you can't have premises that mention just water and then conclude H2O. That would be invalid. And Hume thought that this was a good argument against the is-ought gap. But now, of course, with the development of better logic, we've been able to traverse the logical problem of the gap. And what remains is just people making excuses. Right?
It begs the question.
Oh my gosh, Josh, come on. Can you be right about one thing in the world?
Look, if you just think about it, in the case of the disjunction, right? The disjunction that you gave, and you say that that's not a normative premise, right? Like that, or that's not a normative conclusion, right? Say tea drinking in England or one ought to do X, right? That's the inference, right? By addition, right? So the whole point is that there's an interpretation where you can just by material implication get not P or Q from that other argument that you gave, right?
It's not mine. This is Pryor's. This has been done in 1960.
Yeah, I'm saying it's question begging.
No, it's not question begging. It's just people haven't caught up. Begging. Okay, now.
I think what Josh is trying to get at here is that it's not we're not dealing with the relevant non-moral facts. It's not like whether we should kill all the New Zealanders. That moral claim is completely disconnected from whether people drink tea.
It's not that it's disconnected. There's a question of in virtue of what does the implication hold? Because if you...
Oh my gosh, come on, guys, be right about something for once in your lives. Like,
what are you talking about?
Even if the argument's question begging, what does that have to do with anything? Like, I mean...
Wait, but, but question begging is an informal fallacy. It's not a logical... It's logically valid.
If the claim is only that we have a valid argument, then the objection is either going to be it's not valid.
But wasn't the original claim that there is no valid way to deduce an odd from an is?
Well, the question is whether the response is going to be, if the claim is that you can't have a valid argument with descriptive premises and a normative conclusion, then the response is going to be either the argument's not valid, or at least one of those premises are not are normative. Like, I don't know, that second premise with the disjunction, either tea drinking is common or we ought to such and such. If that's a normative premise, I mean, it's not clear how we're thinking about. We have to think about a normative premise in a different way to count that as a normative premise, because as I would normally think about it, a normative statement is one which itself entails a normative consequence, right? Entails some obligation or something like that. And this one doesn't, so I don't...
Yeah, that's simple, but the second thing is designed if you deny that the first one is a normative one.
Oh, I'm talking about the second one. The first one I think is bad, but the second one is... I don't know, because it depends on exactly what we're supposed to be saying. And if this argument turns out to be question begging, okay, what does that have to do with anything? Doesn't show that it's invalid. Doesn't show that the premises are not normative, or not descriptive.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Wasn't the initial claim that there is no valid way to deduce an odd from an is? Wasn't that the original claim that people were making?
Well,
now it's changing to some kind of a...
The original state was a bit more vague, but people have kind of stated it more precisely in different ways.
Yeah, it's a trivial thing. You can't... Using standard logic, you can't derive H2O from premises that mention water.
I think the reverse is true also, but
yeah,
you can't derive facts about water from premises which only mention H2O.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we had until we discovered this kind of logic where we have been able to deduce an odd from an is with a logically valid way. Now, anyways, vegan gains. I enjoyed that conversation with you. Thanks to whoever.
So we could pick up, this veganism debate later, and maybe debate crap like problem of evil. So.
Oh yeah, I think the logical problem of evil is a meme. I think that's a meme.
Yeah, we could debate both, either the logical problem of evil or the evidential.
Yeah, I have arguments against both. Logical problem is just not good. Evidential is good, but it's got so many it's got so many problems as well. Even though it's actually better than the logical, that
if you say the evidential problem of good, I mean, come on.
Okay, Destroyer, you're not supposed to give away my cards. Okay. Yeah. So I do like. Yeah. So how?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
How did you get into philosophy? Like from.
Me? Well, I mean. Not super well read on philosophy, but I know some of it.
Neither is Detroit.
Just from, it's just from debating online. It just helps.
Yeah, it's nice.
All right, well, take care, man. I'll look up your information sometime later,
God bless you,
And,
buddy. Just send me an email, and I would love to debate, decimate anybody. Not you, you're friendly, but like anybody that holds to the logical problem. It's just garbage. I'm sorry.
Sure, dude.
I had Richard Swinburne on here, who annihilated the logical problem in under 10 minutes. I have a video on that. I had Richard Swinburne come here. It took less than 10 minutes for him to annihilate all of the things, and we don't even agree on many things. Some things, I wouldn't say many. I love Richard, but he completely devastated it just from his own philosophy, which is terrible.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm interested in debating you on that.
Oh yeah,
so
just send it.
yeah.
By the way, guys,
dude.
I'm debating rationality rules in a couple of days, I guess.
Okay, cool. I think he's a member of my Discord.
He is? Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. God bless you. Does it offend you when I say God bless you?
Not really. I don't care.
All right. Take care, buddy.
All right, see ya.
And have fun. You too.